Hey, how y'all doing, my CEOs? I told y'all 5 o'clock, but guess what? God is good. We can start a little early. Guess who I got coming here? Guess who I have here today? Y'all wasn't ready for this one. Let's all give a round of applause to Mr. Erik Dilan, member 54, Assemblyman. My guy, how you doing? Good to be saved. Have a seat.
Pleasure.
Welcome to the Queen's Lounge.
I apologize. I didn't know that the audience was scheduled and everything. So for anybody missing out, my fault. I freed up early and just wanted to get it done. I'm excited to get it done. But I didn't realize that there were certain protocols. For most people that don't know me, I'm not really on the internet like that. So this is my first podcast. So you get to break me in, so to speak, as it relates to the podcast world.
That's right, and I am on it. Let me ask you something. What made you so Brooklyn?
I was born and raised. I'm so born and raised Bushwick. I don't know nothing else. It's the only way I know how to be. I don't know what's wrong with everybody else.
Oh, that's right. I know that's right. Well, first and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm good.
The family?
I'm blessed. Family's good. Wife and kids are good. At the end of the day, that's all we have. So, as long as the family's good, I'm straight no matter what happens.
How's your dad?
He's doing good. The ones that know my dad, yes, he's traveling. Yeah, he's on the move. He'll be back home soon. His Facebook check-ins, every day. People think my dad is like never home, but he's home a lot. But with those Facebook check-ins, he looked like a true jet setter.
He living.
Yeah, he
living. That's what's up.
And he should. God bless him.
That's right. As he should. That's right. Yes. So let's get down to business, right? I want to talk about homelessness.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Well, I mean,
housing for them. What's going on?
It's just simple, man. When prices go up and salaries don't follow, right? You get what you get. Now we've always had the traditional homeless, but I think with the numbers exploding, the homelessness levels at the rate that they are today, that's just not people with drug problems or mental problems. Those are our people, right? Our people who are working and still, in the homeless shelter because the cost of living and their earnings don't match. So it's really it's really hurtful. It really hurts, and as a city and state, we got to do better for those folks.
That's right. You're absolutely right about that, because every day I walk out, I travel a lot, and every part of Brooklyn I go, I said, oh my God, it seems like it's getting worse.
Yeah.
It seems like it's getting worse. Yeah, right. So, like I said, you're so Brooklyn. We in Bushwick.
Yep.
What do you want to do for the community over here? Like, we have the community center that's not being used for anything.
Well, so it's funny you say that. I got a proposal, and I'm just waiting for this year's state budget to be passed. I actually have a proposal with $10 million in for the community center for a capital renovation. Trust me, this is not rehearsed. She had no idea.
No
idea at all. So it's subject to approval, obviously, when the budget passes. I hope and expect that it'll be in there, but that's a great opportunity to do something. I was a kid when Hope Gardens was being built, and there was no gyms or anything like that back in the 80s when that was going up. So to have an indoor basketball gym where you could play in Bushwick and didn't have to freeze in Bushwick Park to be able to play was exciting, but it hasn't been renovated since.
Right, that's true.
And while it's held up, it's in decent condition. It could use a little love, and we're about to send it a lot of love. $10 million go a long way. I guess there'll be some question as to whether NYCHA does the renovation or the managing partners do the renovation.
Okay.
If the managing partners do the renovation, it could bring the cost down a little bit.
Okay.
But for right now, I'll leave it at the higher cost with the expectation that NYCHA does it. And we'll have, we certainly want the people of Hope Gardens to be involved in the design and planning of it. I mean, we don't intend to change it too much because it is a youth center and community center,
Okay.
but it is there to serve, you know, the people of Hope Gardens, and we want them to have input on what goes on.
Okay, and like for the youth, like jobs, like training, you know, would that be implemented in all of this? Like,
well, it would be construction, so it doesn't add to any services that are there or not there.
okay.
It's construction money for renovation, for
Okay.
complete renovation
Okay.
of the things that are there. Now, in terms of opportunities, like with jobs and things like that, there's other programs that are in and around the neighborhood where we could connect them to.
Oh, that'd be wonderful because I see a lot of youth and they looking for places to go where they can get resources at. Because a lot of them just need that avenue so they don't have to run to the streets.
Yeah. And look, when I was a kid, I think that, you know, I grew up in the streets here in Bushwick in the 80s and 90s. And, you know, a couple of things kept us out of trouble, right? I had a good family. That was one. But I had a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles who ended up, you know, in trouble with everything that comes with the streets. I got cousins serving time in prison, and the only difference between them and me was, you know, our parents. Now, that's my family. I love them. I never turn my back on them. But I was fortunate to have, you know, a solid foundation, solid parents. And then I was fortunate enough to just love sports and love to play baseball and basketball. And it kept I played high school baseball, so the requirement was you had to keep your grades at a certain level.
Absolutely.
So it kept my grades up and it kept me out of trouble. So I guess the more opportunities we could get kids who like to play ball, and get them the best facilities to be able to do it, you know, we have to invest in that. Because while things are not as crazy as they are out here in the 80s and 90s, it's still not, you know, still not perfect. There's a lot that needs to be done, and a lot of venues that need to be invested in to give kids hope.
Absolutely, I agree. I was walking down Bushwick and Central in Linden, and they was like, "Oh, I know you. You got your own podcast." And I said, "Thank you so much." But like I said, it feels good to hear people speak my name in rooms that I'm not there.
That's got to be kind of cool.
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah.
The next day said, "Can you help me with a job?"
Yeah, and you know that I get that all the time too. And it's, to be honest, it's frustrating that I can't help as many people as I would like to. You know, what we try to do is just try to help with workforce investment programs that we can guide people to. And I guess when this is done, we could give you like a link where you could post on your podcast so people can see it. Yes. So anybody looking for a job, they could go to one of these things. Now, I guess there's all level of skills that are required, entry level to some higher stuff. The higher stuff is easier. But see, for me, like when a candidate like runs for office and wins mayor, they always want to know, well, you got anybody with a resume that I can make commissioner? I'd rather make 50 porters than one commissioner, because that's my neighborhood. Now I'm proud that like I had the current commissioner of film and the mayor's office of film is a protege of mine, Ralph Espinal is my chief of staff. But you know, rest assured, you know, throughout my time, I focused on getting a lot of people porter jobs in all kinds of places.
Hey, listen.
And, you know, while I'm proud of him, I'm just as proud as those, because there's a lot of people, man. My first campaign, I remember this, you know, my campaign headquarters was on Decatur and Wilson. Now, if you know Decatur and Wilson, you know, if you know Decatur and Wilson in the early 2000s, but we grabbed a lot of those guys, and why are you grabbing them guys up there? I said, because they want to. They want to do something else, right? So if I turn them away from doing something else, then I'm not opening any doors for them. They decided to walk through the door. I didn't ask them.
That's right.
So if I shut the door on them, they're just gonna feel like, oh, well, there's no hope, there's no chance. So there's a lot of guys that on the quiet got off the streets just because they said, you know, we're gonna help out in this campaign. And yeah, we paid them a little bit, but it opened doors and got them experience that they wouldn't otherwise have had. And you know, I like to think You know, that was 20 years ago. I like to think that a lot of guys like that, we just quietly saved their lives.
Yes.
And just got them away from stuff that.
That's right.
Yeah, but they were ready to walk away from that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
As other people, they're just not ready to do that. Right? But those, you know, when people are ready to walk away, we can't shut the door. We gotta be willing to take them in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's so true. Another thing that I admire about you, how you, when it came down to discrimination against people with disabilities for housing,
Mm-hmm.
how you took the time out to stand up for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just because you're disabled, you still need a job, you still need to be able to live, and you still need to be able to do things that any other human being needs to do, whether it's for housing or just any other aspect of life. All they want is a chance to live and do everything like everybody else. So, you know, it's not a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes people just shut the door on certain things, but you make sure you.
I mean, shutting the door is the easy thing to do,
Yeah.
right? And it's, you know, my job is to try to, and it's not, we don't always succeed, but my job is to try to lift everybody up, right? Now, people come in and they say, oh, well, he's in politics, what can he do for me? And, you know, there's times where individually we're in positions to help people out, but my job is to try to lift all of us up and keep all of us afloat. Like, I give you an example, like, I'm in the state assembly, I'm the chair of the committee on corrections. So that's oversight. That's oversight of all the state's prison systems and all the local jails everywhere in the state of New York. And I had some guys come into my office. They are in union, right, Carpenters Union, and they're talking to me about stuff that's on the agenda, whatever. But then they noticed, like, hey, you the chair of corrections. Do you think you could get us in the prisons to, like, start these guys? I'm like, yeah.
That's right.
We've been waiting on.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I said, you talk to your guys, and when your guys say they're ready, it's nothing but a phone call. We'll call the commissioner and we'll get these guys. So this way, when guys start to come close to their release date, they can come out and already be like on track in an apprenticeship program.
That's right.
To join a construction union and come out and have real purpose. So then it's easier when, you know, when they got to go up for parole, you know, their family situation is in order, they got a good job, and then they're less likely to go back to prison.
That's right.
So like that type of stuff is work that I love. It's challenging, man, because like I'm pretty good at keeping the job at the job, and when I'm home, just be home and keep my feelings at home and save my feelings for my family. But then you hear the stories on all sides, right? Whether it's incarcerated individuals or their families, or for the COs that work in the prisons. Like it's just after time, and you deal with it every day, it becomes emotionally taxing. But I said, man, I can't walk away from the work. I like the work. One of my first calls, I became chairman about 4 years ago. One of my first calls was a lady from Georgia, and I'm like, why is this lady from? Oh, my baby's in prison here, and I said, oh man, how do we deal with this?
Right.
And I didn't realize that, you know, we get calls in the office and letters in the office from all over the country, right? Where they got family that's in jeopardy on the inside, and I didn't know how to deal with that. I had some folks, and I'm gonna let you in a little secret. I was getting some letters from a certain prison. I won't say which one.
Okay.
Keep people safe, but I was a new chairman, and I didn't know how to deal with that. And I was like, they get this new guy in, he gonna be the rabble rouser. So about a month went by, and I still don't know how to deal with it. And then the old commissioner stepped down, and the new commissioner came in. I said, hey, commissioner, nice to talk with you. Let's go visit this prison. Let them know 3 weeks in advance that we coming.
Okay. That's right.
I got no more letters. I got no more letters. And we went up, we visited the facility, we got to talk with some folks, and we got to do some things. But, it's just multiple ways of problem solving. And I was learning, back then it was all fresh to me. And I'm still learning a lot. I'm by no means an expert on the prison system, but, it impacts the people in this neighborhood, impacts people that I care about. And we had some unfortunate things happen last year with the 2 homicides in there, Robert Brooks and Sinai Sweet.
Yes.
And, we passed the Prison Omnibus Reform Act of 2025, which I was the lead sponsor of.
Okay.
And to me, that's the first step of reforming the prison system for me to, in my mind, the next 50 years. So I take the job and the task very seriously. Then there's some things we got to follow up on this year. I think one of the things that a lot of the advocates in and around the prison system want to see, and I agree with them, is treatment in women's facilities.
Absolutely.
They got this thing called the CARE Act, which I want to get to before this session is over, and want to pass and send to the governor for her signature. But it's just minimum basic treatment of women in facilities.
Yes.
Things that are different from men, because they'll deal with men's security and women's security kind of the same when women have different needs.
Absolutely.
And just things like the frequency of amount of showers that they get, access to feminine products.
Yep.
Access to access to breast pumps and things that are like, and then time and space inside the facility, especially for new moms, to safely spend and share time with the baby, so that the baby has that bonding with the mom, so that when the mom eventually gets out, that bond and that connection will always be as strong as any other mom-child bond. So that's the stuff we're looking at this year. But there's other things like sentencing reform and second look, which to me is vitally important, because you know how it was when we growing up. Folks that they were out there and they were hooked on crack and all this other stuff, and it became they were criminals. Then we have this opioid stuff, and I'm like, oh well, that's a health issue, right? So what we want to do is, all right, it happened. We may not like the fact that it happened, but the Second Look Act will address a lot of that stuff. So the Second Look Act doesn't let anybody out of prison automatically. Right. What it does is that it says a judge of a certain level will be able to take a second look at a sentence and see is that sentence overly harsh? Is it warranted?
Yes.
And where possible and practical, they'll start to release folks. Now the thing that I like that has me hopeful and optimistic about the Second Look Act is that in the open hearing in the Assembly, open budget hearing, one of the highest judges in the state, Josias, who he openly said that he supports the Second Look Act and thinks it's a necessary tool for the judiciary to have. So, I just can't wait to see these things get to the floor, so that we can start to put them into implementation, so that it can, be in effect and start to help people out. I went inside to a couple of prisons, and there's some guys who were inside that are organized, and they asked about the status. I had to give them the real truth.
That's right.
That is the one thing.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're inside, nobody likes to be lied to.
That's
but
right.
So I gave them the real, honest truth. They asked me what's the complications. I gave it to them, and I told them we would fight through this, and then they said, "Oh, that's just politics." I said, "Yeah, that's politics." I said, "But you can be rest assured, when it does pass, it will be politics that gets it passed. So don't, while it can be good, it also can. While it can be bad, it also can be good. So don't just look at it from a cynical eye. So I look forward to that type of work, and I would say, like, if there's anybody out there who has concern for any loved ones on the inside, you could call my office, and we have staff dedicated to do that. The number's 718-386-4576. Ask for anybody in the office. You just tell them that you got somebody on the inside. You give them the name, you give them the DIN number, and we'll get them checked out, whether it's a wellness check or whatever it is. There's times where people do that, and they say, "Hey, I think, my family's," and sometimes, it's not always true, but then sometimes it is true, right? So we check it out. There's been times where I've gone personally to see somebody and make sure that they were all right. I don't always have the time to do it, but when I do have the time and I can make it out, I just go ahead and do it.
Okay.
And it just puts, especially the mamas, it just puts families at ease. And it says, all right, we still going through this, but at least I know there's somebody out there with a watchful eye and somebody that I could call. Now I can't answer all their prayers and all the things like that, but I think they realize that. And I think they're just happy to know that they feel like they got somebody on their side. I'm glad to give them that feeling.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. That actually was my last question.
Good.
So
good.
For us to just go right into it.
Yeah, good. I can expand on it if I didn't get all the question answered.
No, you did. You did perfect.
Yeah,
because a lot of people, they need a second chance. They need things.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Well, when you start getting the third and fourth chances, that's a whole
Now hold on now, Miss G. Hold on now, Miss G.
We got some of our family.
Yeah, listen, I'm no different than anybody else, right? I've had family that's been locked up. Still got family on the inside. I got family that has, paid their debt and free now, and we love them all the same, man. They just, some of them need to grow up, and some of them just, some of them we just couldn't save. We couldn't help, and that's fine to acknowledge that. And then some of them, they just get judged by their worst day.
Yeah.
And their worst day, they pay the rest of their life for it.
That's true.
But we do the best, the best we can.
That's all you can do. That's all we ask for,
Yeah.
Do the very best that you can.
And we're doing a lot of work. I think another thing, an issue that's important to me is what people don't realize, the way the session works in Albany. The parole board has 19 members. And so we close session this year, the beginning of June. Normally it's the end of June. So the Senate will make their appointments because they get advice and consent. The governor makes the appointment. The Senate gets advice and consent. So the governor in June will probably put up 3 new appointees on the parole board. There's 3 vacancies right now. And what will happen is the Senate will confirm them or deny them. They likely confirm them. And then at that point, it'll be 19, right, which is a full parole board.
Okay.
Then what happens is, between June and January 1, the legislature's out of session. If you get any resignations, and that's the situation we're in now. We last June, we had 3 resignations after the Senate left. So the impact of 3 people not being able to serve that 1 year on the Department of Road means less cases that the parole board. That means there's more people inside waiting for their hearing, waiting for their date, and just waiting for the. So we got a bill in that would and it's somewhat complicated to solve, but I do believe we could solve it. We got a bill in that says for that 6 months that we're out, the governor can make interim appointments so that the board is full, can make interim appointments until the Senate reconvenes and the Senate can do their advice and consent. Now the Senate, where my father served, is, the Senate rightfully so protects that advice and consent role, and we definitely want to be respectful of that. So I want to work with the Senate and the right senator to solve this and figure this out, because I think that's another thing that again helps people, is keeping the system at full capacity and full functionality, so that hearing dates could be done on time, and so that and all the other things that they need can get attended to. So that's what I do as chairman of the committee, but there's a whole host of things that we gotta fight for. But I spend a lot of my time on that, and I'm ready to take this in whatever direction you're willing to go.
I know that's right. Listen, I'm glad you there to help.
Yeah, and you
glad
know
you
what?
did.
Believe it or not, there's a lot more.
I'm sure.
A lot of people help. There's a lot of people, a lot of members, especially in the Democratic conference. A lot of people who really do good work, and a lot of people that I learn from. Whether they're elected or non-elected, I absorb what everybody comes at me with and listen to it. And even if I don't understand it at the moment, just take it in, absorb it, reflect on it, and then start to catch up later on. But there's a lot of people on the ground,
I'm sure,
doing good work.
I know they are. I know.
Yeah, that's my purpose. Like being criminal justice reform and sentencing reform and correctional reform is my purpose for being in office, right? I've done, and while people still need it, right? So I'm not minimizing it. My time in the city council, I was the housing chair. We've done a lot of housing development. I know one of the members of the audience can attest to it. She was alongside,
these new buildings,
seen us do a lot of the work. And that's still needed, and I still have that expertise. But I don't need to be the chairman of housing to be able to do that, right? So that knowledge is still with me, and we have to do more work.
Yes.
We have to do more work urgently. But the political will to do things and do things right on housing is urgent. And I would say, as it relates to housing, no one person has it right or wrong.
That's true.
But we need to tone down the rhetoric a little bit and listen to each other so that we get it right. Because if I'm wrong on one thing and someone else's point of view was like, oh, that guy's bad,
Right.
so we can't do it that way. But yeah, right. But then I'll turn around and say, okay, that's fine. You disagree with my policy. What have you built?
Right. Yeah.
What have you done?
Probably nothing.
Right.
So don't dismiss the work. Let's talk together.
That's right.
And I can absorb what you want, and you can absorb, and you can take from my expertise of building housing, and we can work together and get stuff done for everybody. But
that's true.
Housing has gotten to the point where one is urgent and it's so pressing that people don't even listen to each other to solve problems. They yell and scream at each other and they talk over each other and nobody's building nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my day, we built.
That's right.
And we built. They say, oh, well, you could look at New York City, and anybody that knows that's from here knows that we built the low income stuff. There was no, we built it. We know how to build it.
That's right.
We worked with people to build it. Like, I know I wasn't the council member who was sitting at the time, but when I was the housing chair, we brought then Commissioner Matt Wambua out to Atlantic Avenue, and I showed them my vision for Atlantic Avenue. And then my chief of staff at the time, who was at the mayor's office of film, Ralph Espinal, got the East New York rezoning done. They said, oh, well, you're going to do all this rezoning. It brings about gentrification and all this stuff. So those buildings are now starting to come up, and it's it's all Brooklyn. It's all the rents are reasonable. Some of the places you could get in, rents as low as $700 a month. That is a blessing. The problem with it is if there's two buildings that come up and there's, let's say, 500 units, let's say, second you got 500 units online, you'll have 50,000 applications for those 500 units.
Oh, Lord.
And as Ms. G can attest, she's in the crowd, she's not off. We used to have housing forums where we would just get the mission-driven, low-income developer into the room with us. We'd be in an auditorium, and that helped people with the application process. Now, fortunately and unfortunately, I should say, everything goes through the Housing Connect, which is, I get why people want to do that, but Housing Connect. Leaves a lot of people out, but it also includes, in my view, includes a lot of people that don't belong. When I say don't belong, people from out of state apply. Yeah. And that's like crazy.
You learned a lot from your uncle.
Yeah. Well, live in the city of New York, at a minimum, right? They do 50% community preference, and that's fine. But to me, it should be higher. But those deals are subject to what you negotiate with the city and the developer, which is everybody's going to negotiate them different. But there's a lot of things we could do, and a lot of ways we could help. And I would say that any idea is a good one, and we shouldn't just dismiss it offhand. We can shape it, right, to what suits our needs.
That's right.
But just don't dismiss it. Now, like I would say, like 421A was viewed recently as a bad thing, right? And it became a bad thing, right? Yeah. But when it started out, it was good because it was the tax credit program that built. While it did build in the Central Business District in Manhattan, it was the tax credit program that made a lot of first-time homeowners in Bushwick. It gave them a piece of the rock, so to speak, right? They had their rent, and they had their rent. They had their mortgage. They got a $50,000 subsidy. And they were able to buy a house, two-family, for $250. Now those days, unfortunately, are gone, right? And one of the first things when I went to Albany was I told folks like, hey, we got to do something to get these investors out, because every time, this was like we were coming out of the foreclosure crisis, and every time a building went for sale, I had constituents that were competing with 100% cash buyers with no connection to the neighborhood. So people, they really didn't have a chance, and we would bang the table, and nothing. And this is about the time when the state got tons of money from the feds on the bank settlement funds, and so the vision I had at that time was like, hey, we got this $1 billion. Let's say it's a $1 billion. We got this $1 billion. Let's put it in a fund, right? So what we could do is we put it in a fund. We can give mission-driven nonprofits, assign them the building in the county or by community board, have them renovate those foreclosed properties for a small fee, right? So say they get a management fee of 3-4%, because nobody does nothing for nothing.
Yeah, right.
But they get 3-4%, right? But then what you have now is a fully renovated house that they can turn around and sell to families within the county or community board, right? Instead of having the investors buy up everything. When I was a freshman assembly member, they brush you off, but what they didn't look at was the 8 years of experience I had as a housing chair. And had we done that, I think a lot of our people and our neighborhood would be in a totally different position right now. Because basically what they did was, when the foreclosure crisis happened, we'll be honest, right? A lot of equity was stolen from minorities on the front end, and then all the opportunity was taken away on the back end, which leaves you with what we have today, right? A problem and a crisis, and you reap the rewards. Now, I say there's some things, and it's not gonna come out. It's not gonna be too popular. A lot of people might beat me up for this, but I would say let's just brainstorm for a second, right? We passed the Tenant Protection Act of 2019, which I voted for and supported for. I believe in that. But what we have today is a situation in rent-stabilized apartments where rent-stabilized owners are warehousing apartments because they feel like they can't get their repayment back. Now, listen, there's two different types of markets, right? You got your market rate and your market housing, which is out there, and that market's doing well. Then you got your stabilized housing, which is under government regulation. So when people talk about freezing the rent and all that stuff, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about freezing the rent in stabilized units only. But the average cost of rent in the stabilized unit in Manhattan, say, is around $2,100. Brooklyn is around $1,500. Bronx is around $1,400, which I get for a lot of people. That's not easy, right? It's high, but can we be creative and find a way to unlock 50,000 apartments that are just sitting there? I think we have to, right? If your homeless numbers are high, and you, on the other hand, you say, well, landlords are bad, but you got over 100,000 homeless, and you got 50,000 vacant apartments, it would seem that there's a solution there somewhere, right? You can cut your homelessness levels in half by finding a way to open up these apartments to people that qualify. So, while I say that's going to be volatile, and trust me, it's volatile. When I said here, this is a safe room, but when this goes out there, you watch the comments. That Dilan, he did this and that. But let's just speak common sense. And if they're warehousing 50,000 apartments and our homeless numbers are, now I'm not saying I think I have an answer. But let's collaboratively, as a government and as a people, find the answer so that we can begin to work at getting these people out of the shelters. And it doesn't have to be my way, but let's find a way to get those 50,000 units occupied where people are not in the shelter system and people still like they can afford New York, right? So I think we can do it, and I think we just got to be creative and find a way that makes everyone feel good about it.
You got that right. Yeah. Well, there y'all have it.
Happy to come on. Happy to share a piece of my brain and happy to absorb. Right?
There you go.
Happy to absorb.
I was so honored that you've never been on a podcast.
My first podcast.
Ooh, I am so...
for a moment, I almost forgot it was there. It was just
there you
me
go.
Just me and you talking.
That's how it is, though.
Yeah.
That's how it is. So, like I said, once again, I'm so honored that you took your time out to come over here into our development.
It's not my first time.
I know it ain't your first time.
Won't be my last. And
that's right. To have you in my home, that's a blessing.
Yeah, you have a beautiful home.
Thank you so much.
You can see someone's creative taste and their artistic spirit.
Hey.
You definitely put your flavor on it.
Not flavor, y'all. Not flavor. But audience, thank y'all for tuning in. Once again, I want to thank Mr. Erik Dilan
Thank you, Queen.
for your time, your patience. because we got two women over here that y'all don't see, and Lord, they over here talking while he
Yeah.
talking. He got a lot of patience. You hear what I'm saying?
He's done an awful lot with housing.
Yes, yes. But anyway, all my CEOs out there, I thank y'all for tuning in. I thank y'all for y'all time on this beautiful Saturday. So with that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead, get to the Michael Jacksons. Go watch Michael Jackson. Go to the show. I'll see you guys later.